doubt.
So if this is the record needle, as I use in my analogy on the record, are there multiple record needles in different lifetimes, or is this just the perspective of this one and there are other one? And let's not even get into parallel lives, current parallel lives, or
Well, this is a trippy one.
multiverses.
So here's a
Yeah,
trippy one, another trippy one, in that the soul, as I said before, 70% of the soul is outside the body, 30% is over here. So if we go to really understand the soul, we want to go to 70%, those different fields of levels. Well, every one of those fields is a different way of life, right? So you're existing right now in a past life, in a future life. Right now, as you're simultaneously living this moment right now, you're living those other lifetimes at the same exact moment. And it seems that what you're doing, this physicalness, if you will, in this 3D dimension, will affect those other lifetimes, and vice versa too. By the way, there's aspects of the higher life or the different fields that they can bleed down. We heard the higher self. If we bring down that energy of the higher self into the awareness of the moment, it can affect that moment, and that goes back into meditation, sitting in the silence, being the stillness of your being. You will be influenced by the higher self. So that's how it works. But again, the secret is to know thyself, to thy own self be true. And that is really it. Never compare yourself to other people. Be who you are, because you are who you are, because you're meant to be who you are.
so, one thing I've noticed about your work, James, and this is unlike other, quote unquote psychic mediums that I've spoken before,
See, I don't
I've
like that
spoken
term
to.
psychic medium because
So
it's redundant.
mediums,
It's redundant because every
is it?
medium needs to be psychic. Listen, if there's a
Fair
medium
enough.
that's psychic, get your money back because hello, every medium. So psychic is a perception, right? So psychic we perceive, and everybody
Sure.
is psychic to one degree or another, and a medium receives. So
Mhm.
not every psychic is a medium, but every medium is psychic. So that's a very very
Okay,
different.
okay.
You know that difference in there. And so psychic medium to me is it's just redundant. So to me, a spiritual medium would be really more accurate, I'd say, for at least for me.
So spiritual medium.
Yeah,
One thing I've
I
learned
like that
about
better. Okay,
it's spiritual me it sounds better. It's better
sounds
branding.
better, right?
Um,
Like the
but
tone.
your work as a spiritual medium, you really seem to connect a lot of ancient ideas and teachings in the work that you do
Yeah.
in a way that I don't see very often. Because a lot of times it's all about give me the lottery tickets, or am I going to meet my, or am I going to meet my dark stranger, or is this pilot I just did gonna blow me up, or these kind of ideas where your work. I know that must be extremely
No,
boring for you.
it's the way it is. You know, people say, "Can you give me the numbers of the lottery?" And I was like, "You think I'd be talking to you right now? But give the numbers of the lottery, I certainly wouldn't be able to talk to you right now." But you know, it's again how you use it. I'm very much, as I said from the very beginning, in development of my work, that I have to be open minded, and I believe that I'm a sage from way back, or that those lifetime
Oh yeah,
sage
yeah, I'm
wisdom
here.
philosophy. I know that, and I always bring that forward to however I can. I wish I bring more forward. But also, you know, I think it's really important, and Alex, you do a great job at this, and it's
Thank you.
bringing presenting information to the general public that you can. And I do this in my books when I write my books. And I don't mean to sound detrimental here or put people down, but it's you have to feed them. You have to spoon feed the public. So these complexities, these insights into other dimensions and so forth are there, but in order for people to understand them, you got to give them something to understand that they can relate to. So
Hmm.
I think when you have to, and I hate to say the term, you have to kind of dumb it down, but you have
Oh,
to, because
well, of
and
course.
you got to dumb it down.
I understand
And
what you
I
mean.
think it's important that we bring these big concepts down to the finest, which is love or fear is basically it. Then you can get into, once people can understand that, then go on to a little bit more about how you treat people, the golden rule, a sense of who you are. Then we go a little bit further, and we're seeding them. You know, I have a lot of people say to me, "God, this is so amazing. I wish I could tell my husband the work that you did, that you put that through." And I got to tell him, I can't wait to tell him. I said, "Listen, he might not get it. Don't be so caught up in him getting it. Just plant the seed. When he's ready, he will get it." It's just you can't control it. Just plant the seeds. That's all we can do. And that's what you're doing and I'm doing. We're planting the seeds. And I don't know. I think it's just again, it's having a sense of awareness. It's not just like I said earlier, like the circus or the fun act or whatever, that
Yeah.
jump to the hoop or whatever. It's not that. It's who we are as spiritual. We're souls having a human experience, not the other way around. And as a soul being representing those lives, I think in the Bible it says, "My Father has a house with many mansions." And I do believe there are many, many levels and spectrums and spheres and worlds within worlds within worlds. And that one element that brings all those worlds together is love. Love is the only energy that goes through all of those dimensions, all of those time spans is love. Love is the answer. And that's exactly the way it is. Yeah. Now we got to be
No,
responsible for that.
Without question. And that's one of the reasons what I think that movies and television and media in general has such a responsibility in that aspect, because there are certain movies that I can say simulation theory to you and they'll be like, "What?" I go, "It's The Matrix." And they'll go, "Oh, the concepts there." Yeah, there's kung fu and there's other aspects that they kind of did, but the concept, the philosophy, the idea of multiple or the multiverse that Marvel is now bringing out, and that concept, yeah, it's superheroes fighting in the multiverse,
It's
but
okay because that's what they're
idea,
spoon feeding it. They're spoon
the
feeding that concept in a
ideas,
great way of entertainment, just like in a Ghost Whisperer. We opened up with fear, like people are afraid of these ghosts, but yet at the end it was all about love and healing. Same with the Marvel comics. Now they're bringing their and even the producers who doing probably have no idea what they're doing. They're just being used by spiritual beings
right?
as to bring these teachings out, and people it'll open people up on those levels. It'll open them up. They might have to get it through entertainment or a strange way, but I want to say something else with you, talk to you about something else too, which I think is really, it's bothered me over the years.
Mhm.
And I think you get it too. Guess it goes back to that responsibility that what you put out in the masses, whether it's through television, whether it's social media, whether it's the movies, you have responsibility because it's all energy. So if you're going to put a movie about killing and fear, that stays in the ethers. That energy is there and it stays there. It doesn't just dissipate. You're putting out that using that creative force and making it negative or violent, whatever. That's going to feed people. I really do believe that. So you wonder why we have gun violence. You wonder why people are negative because we're feeding it. We're feeding that. And I
Mhm.
just get a sense, and this is such a responsibility with what you put out to the public, whether it's through social media, whether it's through movies or television, there's a responsibility about it. And people got to understand that.
Yeah,
What do you think?
without, I agree with you 110%. The fear that gets pumped out by the media, because when you're in fear, you buy more and all that kind of stuff. I get that. And I think people are starting to wake up to it. The numbers of this show are starting to say that, because we're talking about millions so far, and
Mhm.
hopefully tens of millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions one day of
Everybody
people
spread the
who,
word. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
to try to get this kind of information out there in this big way. It is changing, and I think people are starting to figure things out on a very instinctual soul level. They're just like, that doesn't make sense for me. I don't want that anymore. But you could already start seeing the crumblings of the old system, where the networks,
That's right.
they're just not getting the numbers anymore
That's right.
that they used to, where there's YouTubers who are getting 100 million views on an episode. Can you imagine that in network television or even as streamers? People are starting to figure things out. And I think it's where everything is going to go. I have to
And
ask you
that,
this,
but
Jay.
along with that is the responsibility that they have with that. Those
They have,
influencers have a big
they've,
responsibility. It's not about how many people you can get on your page. It's the
what you're putting out there.
responsibility you have.
To watch the full video, click on the link below and don't forget to subscribe.